At this point in time, we have Gladys Shollei, who's a Deputy Speaker, National Assembly, Kenya, joins us. Ma'am, appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much. Well, it's a wonderful day in our country. What do you make of this progress that India has been trying to achieve for quite some time now and has been finally successful in doing so?
First, I must commend the Indian Parliament and Houses for passing this very important legislation. I can say that Kenya has been struggling with this since independence. We've had 50 years of independence. We haven't been able to succeed. We did in the 2010 Constitution, we did put in an article in the Constitution which required that no more than 2/3 of any elective or appointive position shall be dominated by one gender. And we thought that with that, we will be able to achieve that. But even despite it being spelled out in Article 27 of our Constitution, we have not been able to legislate on it because the Constitution provided that Parliament shall put in measures and legislation to realize what we call the 2/3 gender rule. That did not happen, despite being spelled in the Constitution. Thereafter, the women of Kenya were able to go to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court gave Parliament until 2015. And in 2015, still Parliament had not passed the law, and the High Court ordered that Parliament has 60 days to ensure that that law is in fact implemented. And still that did not happen. And thereafter, the women of Kenya continued to go to court, and eventually the court asked for dissolution of Parliament for failure to comply with the 2/3 gender rule. So it's been a long journey for Kenya. And as much as I wish India all the best, and the women of India, this is a historic moment, I see that there is a clause in that Constitution that says that the law shall take effect when the Indian Parliament decides, or the Houses decide when it will take effect. That is a bit worrying because it means it's open-ended. One of the things we regret as the women of Kenya is we should have put a time frame within which it should be implemented.
Absolutely.
And we should have established the mechanisms instead of stating in the Constitution that the state and Parliament shall put in mechanism and legislative measures to implement the 2/3 gender rule. Yes.
There is a lot going on in the world. India has taken this particular step, but there are a number of countries around the world, who do not prioritize the involvement or the participation of women in their politics. In fact, there are places in the world which do not even provide basic rights, human rights to women, say for that matter, a country like Iran. Do you think that this is not only a message for Indian women, but this is rather, a macro message for the entire world to adapt to the times and embrace change?
I think India is sending a very strong message across the world, and it is lending a voice to even Kenya. Just telling Kenya that because Kenya's legislature has not been able to pass the law, despite the fact that we've had 3 bills, 2 were sponsored by the government, 1 was sponsored by myself in the last Parliament. We did not succeed. So I'm quite excited, and I'm hoping to use this example of India to pass the message to my own countrymen and legislators to persuade them that time has come and that we are at an era where the voice of women should be heard in all decision-making positions.
Do you think this is perhaps going to be a case in point for you to go back to the lawmakers in your community and try and convince them to embrace?
Yes, in fact, this week we have a women's meeting on Monday, and I'm hoping that we should be able to raise this. We will be able to also raise awareness across the country, just to explain that India has done this, Kenya should be able to do it. Currently, we have the current government and the current president did sign a charter with the women of Kenya that he would implement this rule the moment that he comes into power. He's been in power for a year, and there are certain processes going on now to be able to ensure that those legislative measures are put in place. But this can be of persuasive value to those who are involved in the constitutional amendment process, because the challenge that we have is getting the number of requisite votes in the House to approve that particular bill. And despite the fact that women are 52% of the population in Kenya, and the voting population particularly.
Right. Gladys Shollei, appreciate you joining us. And, we as Indians and we as a channel wish you all the best for this initiative that you're so passionate about. Thank you so much for joining us.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.